Good morning, everyone. This is a special meeting of the Assiniboine Community Committee. Today is Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. My name is Councillor Dawson. I'll be the chair today. We have with us Councillor Duncan and Councillor Lutz will be operating remotely. And could I have a motion?
Yeah, so moved.
Motion to allow Councillor Lutz to operate remotely with our public service. We have Ms. Cohen, and from, pardon me, that's the clerk, and public service, we have Mr. Galston. Oh, okay. All right. So, for Councillor Lutz, we have a motion to allow her to speak remotely. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on. I would like to read our land and water acknowledgement. That we are on Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation and Treaty 3 territory. I believe that's it. We don't have to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Not for a special meeting. Okay. All right. First item.
Okay, so first we'll have delegations. The only registered delegation today is Karen Shansky, BLDG Architecture, to be heard with respect to report 1. So.
Let's share my screen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Again, Karen Shansky, BLDG Architecture Office. Thank you very much for the special meeting. I'm really here on behalf of the applicant, which is Boxall Construction, and the developer Private Pension Partners. I'm really here to answer any questions. I just wanted to highlight, since we've last seen the project, some of the changes that we've been able to incorporate into this amazing luxury multifamily. So the difference, I would say the substantial difference in terms of the design that we're presenting here for plan approval is the reduction in the building height itself. So if you remember when this first came forward for zoning, we had a 4-story, a 5-story, and a 6-story building, and it has since been reduced down to 2 4-story buildings and 1 5-story building. So this really took the mass down by approximately 10 to 12 feet on buildings A and B. And further to that, we have also maintained, I'll flip quickly through to the elevations. And further to that, as a requirement, we've also set back the top floor penthouse units by 7 feet around the entire perimeter of the building. So again, this is about reducing the mass and bringing the whole development down in scale. We've also been able to maintain and include the parking count. So what we've introduced is a park share car co-op, which we have an agreement in principle. This will be open to the public. This car is located at grade on the site plan, and we've also included all of our visitor stalls at grade as well. We have 72 interior parking stalls, which will serve the 58 units across the 3 buildings. I'm just going to highlight a few of the amazing landscape features. I think this is going to be one of the most beautifully landscape developed projects we've seen in a long time in Winnipeg. This also includes the trees you can see, which will be planted on outside of the site, but actually in between the AT pathway and Shaftesbury Boulevard itself, so that we get this new mature tree alley as you enter the site and drive by. Again, further helping to animate the front face of the building. The site will be entirely contained behind ornamental fencing as well, with an ornamental front gate at 4 feet. This will also have landscaping in front of the fence. So again, further effort has been made to really soften the entire perimeter of the building. There is going to be a private pool, which is tucked away over here to the south west side of the building, and a small little pool house here. Again, this is for tenants to enjoy this little area. Again, removed from the street, trying to again push any kind of public area into really the backyard of the site. And again, we've introduced planting on this setback on the rooftop, which was a requirement to green up the rooftop. So again, that is all incorporated in the penthouse level, I would say. So residents that are within that 7-foot setback that live on the top floors, the fourth of the two buildings and the fifth, really get to look out through green and again, green up the tops of these buildings. All the setbacks have been maintained. There's exit paths and beautiful pavers throughout the site. Garbage is maintained with in-ground mullox or in-ground waste retrieval. There's bike parking, and we've also incorporated a dog walk or dog area, a dog park within the sort of north end of the site. I think that's about it. I mean, the landscaping plans are quite extensive. We can see the beautiful fencing, which will have lighting. Again, it's been an incredible journey on this project, but again, I think we're bringing a really beautiful architectural project to the city with all masonry at grade. Will be a Tyndall again, local material. And the building is articulated through cornices and more traditional details as we move up through the building. And that would conclude my presentation. If there's any questions or clarifications, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, any questions from the councillors? Councillor Lukes, go ahead.
Hey, this is great. So it was your choice to do a reduction in size?
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
Right. Okay, because I didn't remember reducing it. Okay. What is the parking ratio? It's
well, we're at 1.5. I mean, we have 80 total stalls. That includes the car co-op. And that gets us that's 58 units. So it meets one more, let's say, than the 1.5.
okay, so I see it here. So I'm always interested in the car share program because it seems to vary from development to development. And maybe we'll ask Mr. Galston that. So you've got 7 parking stalls that you're doing the car share for. So basically what you're saying is the car share is equivalent to 7 parking stalls. Is that correct?
Yes, we're only showing one car co-op spot.
Right.
Yeah, the
Right.
rest are open visitor stalls.
Right. Okay. And then the green on the roof, like is that planted into the roof or is it pots?
It will be pots, raised planter beds.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, I don't have any other questions. This is great. When are you getting going on it? I guess would be the next question.
Well, as soon as we get through this hurdle, our DP is already in. And then we'd be proceeding through permit. We hope to be achieving a piling permit within the next, or foundation permit actually within the next month and a half. Spring construction.
Okay, so I do have a question.
Yeah.
Talk to me about accessibility, like from the standpoint of width. I think there's a standard, you have to have the standard width, the standard door width. Are you doing any, what's it called? Not accessible units, but are you doing any?
Adaptable?
Adaptable?
In this particular project, there isn't. However, for this one, we haven't sort of identified any that would meet that standard. However, due to the sort of nature of the, let me say, luxury component, all the doors are 3 feet wide. The corridors are generous. So these are sort of well articulated suites that are not sort of small. So in a way that they would be visitable, absolutely 100%. And again, they would meet all of MBC accessibility codes, because a lot of them actually did change recently.
Okay.
We do have a UTR, we have a gym, universal toilet room in our amenity in Building A as well.
So Building A is the one with the big amenity?
Yep, it's we call it a clubhouse.
Right.
It's here.
Right.
And then there's a small gym off to the side.
Right.
Mhm. all private elevators up to the suite. So we have 3 elevators, 3 exit stairs. So again, it's like a small luxury, 3 small luxury buildings where there's only about, I think there's only ever, 5 to 6 at the max units per floor.
Right. And I guess, I mean, this is up to everyone's individual pro formas, but why did you build 3 separate buildings versus just one big building?
Well, we actually wanted to break down the mass, and we wanted it to read as 3 almost individual houses, given the character of the neighborhood being right next to Tuxedo. We also feel like the market here is really about providing homes
Right.
as opposed to small units. So we wanted every unit, really, the goal was to have 2 sides. So we wanted to create a project that everyone basically could have a corner unit and side yards and views. So it's a similar, the units are over, can range in 2,000 square feet. So these are like stacked bungalow homes, if you were.
Yeah.
There's a real connection to grade, big patios, big balconies, and light from at least east-south or east-north. So that's why they're individual.
And then I guess my last question would be, so what's the smallest and what's the largest sizes, or where I don't see it in the report, what the ranges are in
The
size?
range, let me see, I don't think we have the unit sizes on here, but our smallest suites are anywhere from, what do we have, 20 by, like 580 would be our smallest suite, 580. And
Wow.
then upwards of 1,700 square feet, which would be a 2-bed, 2-bath.
Mhm.
Extensive kitchens and pantries and butler pantries and in those larger units.
Okay,
Yeah.
super. Okay, I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Johnson has questions as well.
Thanks. Appreciate the presentation. Hearing from the community side of things regarding the trees on site. Those are obviously going to be removed from the site. Okay. And just so we're clear here, in the landscaping portion of the public service report, it indicates 12 trees, 51 shrubs, along with other. But if you go down lower in that, the additional landscaping identifies 45 trees and 530 shrubs, 346 ornamental grasses and 7 vines. So your
Correct.
picture there shows the trees, I believe, that are identified as the street edge, the 45 other trees.
The 45 other trees, they're sprinkled throughout the perimeter of the site here. You can see here. So those are all considered trees. We have to zoom in for them.
So I'm trying to give you something here to comment about the fact that the trees are being removed, but in total, there are going to be 57 trees planted.
57 trees.
Okay,
57 trees and hundreds of shrubs. This is a landscaper's dream.
okay.
I mean, that's what I was saying before, like the extent of landscaping that the developer is going to incorporate. And there's actually further discussion. We would hope to even landscape outside of the site if that would be something that CMU would entertain as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So potential partnership there with CMU to further green up the enhance
perimeter.
The perimeter. Okay, great.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, although there are large mature trees there, it's not going to be something that's going to be a pavement paradise.
It's not.
Right. Okay. And now speaking to exactly the market that we're going after, I've heard the word luxury on several occasions. Reviewing these drawings, that's very evident. That is looking to potentially allow for, and I know some folks don't like this, but the aging in place piece to allow those that potentially live in the Tuxedo neighborhood to literally move across the street and stay in their neighborhoods. Okay. So on that, is there any of these units that have been pre-sold, or do you have a waiting list, or?
Might be a waiting list that I'm unaware of, but they're all apartments.
Okay.
So it's not a condominium.
Mhm.
So again, it's all apartments. I'm sure once we get through these hoops, they'll start a wait list, P3, and start seeing the interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So speaking to that interest, what kind of conversations has there been with those that are interested in this? Because whenever we have any type of development, again, I'm trying to offer something here that you could potentially comment on. Have people from the community reached out and said that they want to live
Yes.
here?
Yes, they have.
Okay,
Yes, they
so specifically from Tuxedo have said,
Specifically from Tuxedo, people at a certain sort of, let's say, age and stage.
yeah,
Who might actually be snowbirds half the year and also have maybe a summer property are actually looking forward to moving into this development, so that again, it's about like you say, it's like moving across the street, but you're not left lacking any kind of amenity or space.
right.
Yeah.
So those that may be leery in the neighborhood, and we've been through this, that's not what we're here to talk about. But it's essentially their neighbors moving in across the street.
You have it right, yes.
Okay, I appreciate the garbage enclosure. That seems to be a hot topic. So having those, semi-submersed under the ground is great. I mean, even to have that, and it's not a cheap amenity, but the pool also is a nice thing to see. Adds to that luxury. I was surprised to hear that it's going to be as small as 580 square feet. One of the
There
units.
will be ones that are that
Okay,
small, yeah.
yeah.
Really intended to, again, serve as, I wouldn't say a granny suite, but again, you might have a teenager or young adult coming in that you might want close but far. And there's also the need for potentially housing elderly parents within, close to you as well. So we see there's a need for that as
I appreciate all the thought that's been put into this, and clearly, although not everybody agrees with what is going to be built there, I think a lot of consideration was given to it, and that reflects in this report and the plans that were submitted. So thank you. Appreciate it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I have, well, like, most of the questions I had are covered,
Okay.
but I thought I'd point out the visitor parking stalls. I was rather surprised that you had 9-foot width parking spots, which is actually really good.
Yes,
I see too many that the parking spots are narrow,
narrow.
and they're not very good for people parking. So this is really, really good. So it's nice to see that. The in-ground garbage and recycling, of course, is nice because it's always the above ground is always a problem.
Yes.
In-ground hopefully will not be as much of a problem. And the pool. Oh my God, you got a pool. How's the pool?
First time for me. I'm really excited.
So I'm assuming that only the people that reside here get to use it.
Unless you have the best.
Yes, honored. I had to throw
Well,
that in
it's
there.
a thing in Tuxedo, I hear. So,
This is going to be an absolutely gorgeous site, so I can't wait to see it up and running. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, now, any questions for our public service?
I do.
Okay,
So I just, Mr. Carlson, we've been going on for a long time about the car shares and how many spots a car share is. So this is great. This one's 7. How did you determine that for this site, 7 would be adequate?
We have a range that we use. I think, one car could offset as much as 12 parking stalls, but it depends on the site. It depends on other proximity to amenities, proximity to other transportation alternatives like transit. With this site, 7 seems sufficient. This isn't what we'd call maybe a highly walkable, highly mixed use neighborhood, but given the site, 7 seems sufficient. There's also active transportation along Shaftesbury that connects to really the entire, like the network that exists in Southwest Winnipeg and West Winnipeg is connected here. So yeah, in short, we have a range up to 12. In this case, 7 offsetting 7 stalls seems to work.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, this project's been a journey to say the least, to get to this point, but, I'm really pleased with the way it turned out, and I'm more than certain the community will embrace it once it's built, and it'll be full. I have no more questions.
Great. So the setbacks, just so folks that may or may not listen to this in the future, the property line is not at the AT pathway.
That's correct. I can just quickly measure that. Approximately from the pathway to the property line, it's about 21 feet.
Great.
And then the building closest to Shaftesbury is another 25 feet back from that property line.
And then on the eastern side of the AT pathway to Shaftesbury Boulevard is another approximately 60 feet.
Yeah, it looks like 63 feet from pavement to pavement from the AT path to the roadway.
So 60, 45, 105-ish feet until the building from the roadway. That's not including the roadway and then the frontage and then the privately owned properties on Shaftesbury, correct?
That's correct. Shaftesbury is quite like as a right of way. Shaftesbury is as wide as Portage Avenue or Main Street, 132 feet. So that's the distance from property line to property line.
Great. So it's safe to say that from the front of one's house on Shaftesbury to the front of this development is approximately 200 feet.
I would think so. Yeah. I think you're getting close to 200 feet from building to building.
Right. Okay. Great. And then just your thoughts on the additional 7-foot setback on the 4th floor. I mean, I haven't been here forever, but that seems unique and quite a nice touch.
Yeah, we don't see that. That was actually a condition that I believe that would have been the Assiniboia committee put on as part of the zoning agreement, is that the top floors of all of the buildings be recessed back between 7 and 10 feet. So that is, something that makes the impact of these buildings at this site less. So we don't see that, but we like it. It provides amenity space like balcony space, but integrates in the building well from a design perspective, and then also does reduce that. So that was required by the community committee, and they've done that in all those buildings, and we like that.
All right.
Okay, any other questions, Councilor Lewis? No, that's it.
That's all.
All right, thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I would move we receive the public service recommendation. I apologize. Yes, concur in the public service recommendation.
Oh, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Those against? Apparently none. Motion's passed.
I'll move to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a great day, you guys.